At 82, I've learned a lot about life, but there's one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family reassured me, promising I'd have all the care and comfort I needed. I believed them. But once I arrived, I quickly realized that reality was nothing like what I had imagined. Many of you might be considering this option for yourself or a loved one. Maybe it feels like the safest decision, or maybe you've been told it will make life easier. But before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in, because life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything, and once you enter, leaving isn't as simple as you might think. Stay with me until the end, because some of these lessons might surprise you. And if you know someone thinking about a nursing home, this video could be exactly what they need to hear before making a life-changing decision. Now, let's start with my first and biggest regret: losing my independence. The hardest part about moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the set meal times, or the unfamiliar faces. It was realizing I had lost control over my own life. Before, I had routines. I chose when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could take a walk whenever I wanted, cook my own meals, or simply relax in my favorite chair with a book. But inside the nursing home, I quickly discovered my time was no longer my own. Everything ran on a schedule I didn't set. Breakfast was served at a fixed hour, whether I was hungry or not. Lights went out at a designated time, even if I wasn't ready for bed. Want to go outside? You might need permission, and you'll likely have to wait until someone is available to assist you. Simple choices, what to eat, what to wear, suddenly felt like privileges rather than basic rights. I'll never forget my first week there. I woke up in a bed that didn't feel like mine, stretched, and instinctively reached for the book I had been reading at home. But as I looked around the unfamiliar room, it hit me. This wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, the little comforts I had collected over the years were gone. In their place were sterile walls, a bed I hadn't chosen, and a feeling I couldn't shake. I was no longer in charge of my own life. The hardest part wasn't just losing my independence, it was realizing that once you give it up, getting it back is nearly impossible. At first, you resist. You ask if you can take a walk on your own. You question why dinner is always at the same time, with no say in what's on your plate. But eventually, you stop fighting. You adapt because you have to. You learn to fit into their system, and in doing so, you start losing pieces of yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to let go of the small freedoms that make life feel like yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them far more than you ever imagined. But there was something even harder than losing my independence: feeling forgotten. One of the most painful truths about moving into a nursing home is realizing that the world outside keeps moving without you. When I first arrived, my family promised they'd visit often, and in the beginning, they did. My daughter came once a week. My grandchildren stopped by on weekends. For a while, I still felt connected to my old life. But as the months passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My grandchildren got busy with school and work. Holidays were the hardest. Everyone assured me they'd visit, but somehow plans always changed at the last minute. And suddenly, I found myself sitting alone in the common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life just got in the way. When you're not around every day, people assume you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you stay in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget just how much you still need them. I'll never forget one evening, sitting in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So I put the phone down, and that's when it hit me. This was my life now, watching the days pass, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, leave a comment below with the number 2 to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss the rest of this series. Now, let's move forward. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was simply changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing how I lived. At home, I had responsibilities, routines, hobbies, a reason to get up in the morning. Even the small things, watering my plants, making my own coffee, tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were made for me. Cleaning was done by someone else. The plants, well, they weren't mine to take care of anymore. At first, I told myself this was my chance to finally relax. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just rest. For years, I had taken care of everything, so maybe this was a well-deserved break. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt long, stretched out, with nothing to do but wait. I wasn't the only one who felt it. I saw it in other residents too. People who had once been full of energy now spent their days sitting, staring, waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84 years old, a carpenter his entire life. Back home, he was always working with his hands, fixing things, building little projects in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew. His hands, once strong and skilled, now sat idle in his lap. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life starts to lose its meaning. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon you start to feel like just another resident in a place where time moves, but nothing really changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't as simple as just filling your time. It's about holding on to the things that make you feel alive. Now, let's talk about something even more surprising. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could take care of myself, go for walks, and cook my own meals. I had my little routines that kept me active: grocery shopping, stretching in the mornings, even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was just taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, so I no longer had to stand in the kitchen. If I needed something, I could push a button and someone would help. It felt convenient, until I realized the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. Sometimes, pressing the call button means waiting longer than you'd like. You're on someone else's schedule now, and patience becomes a daily test. Even meals weren't entirely my choice. If I didn't like what was on the menu that day, there wasn't much I could do about it. And then there was the matter of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be frustrating. I was fortunate to have a kind roommate, but others weren't so lucky. Some had roommates who were loud, unclean, or struggling with cognitive issues that made restful sleep nearly impossible. No matter how much I tried to make my small room feel like home, it never truly was. Dignity is a hard thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I would have to surrender until I was already there. When staff knock but don't always wait for a response before entering, when you're spoken to like a patient rather than a person, when your daily life is dictated by a schedule you had no part in creating, it starts to change you. You begin to feel less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and control you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, getting it back is harder than you think. But the hardest lesson I learned was that leaving isn't as simple as I once believed. When I first moved in, I told myself it was temporary, a trial run, something I could walk away from if it didn't feel right. I thought, if I don't like it, I'll just go back home. What I didn't realize was how much harder that would be than I ever imagined. At first, it seemed straightforward, but as time passed, I found that home wasn't the same anymore. My house sat empty, and managing it from a distance became complicated. My children had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, even considering renting out the place. When I brought up the idea of returning, their hesitation was clear. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was the issue of my own physical decline. After months of not having to cook, clean, or even walk very far, I wasn't as strong as I once was. The independence I had taken for granted started slipping away, making the thought of returning home more daunting than I expected. I wasn't sure if I could manage alone anymore, and that uncertainty kept me stuck. I met others in the same situation, people who once thought they had a choice, only to realize too late that leaving wasn't as simple as they had hoped. Some people move into a nursing home thinking it will be temporary, only to realize that leaving isn't as simple as they expected. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some even lose the option entirely once their home is sold or their savings are drained by the cost of care. There's no going back. That's the part no one tells you. Moving in feels like a decision you can reverse, but for most people, it isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world, and before you know it, the life you once knew starts to feel like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you go in, leaving might not be as easy as you think? Because once you settle in, the barriers to leaving, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my sense of self. Does that mean all nursing homes are bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide, but before you make that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up, because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get the help I needed without giving up my freedom, and made sure that moving into a nursing home was truly necessary before making such a permanent decision. And if you're facing this choice now, I urge you to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me, or is it just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you possibly can. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts matter to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.